What's up, everybody? All right. What's up, folks? Hope everybody's doing good. Got a little poll here I'm going to put together. Where are you? Where are you? I'm just going to see if anyone jumps on. To give me a second. Um, and we'll see what we can get going in here. Thanks for those who listen now or jump in later. The goal is to do this weekly. Spend about 15, 20 minutes. What I really want to do is serve and answer questions and things like that. So if that ever becomes something that you can't attend in person, but you would like for me to answer your question, I want to be able to support you in that. Um, but if not, it's all good. Um, I want to start off this conversation with just a little bit of my own personal work that I've been doing. And so, um, as a coach, as a skills development coach, I do my best to gain certifications and things that allow me to, I would say, achieve at a higher level. I want to be the best at what I do, or at least I think in some ways perceive myself as the best in what I do. And so I will do certifications, things like that to make sure that that happens. Now, of course, over time, I can definitely tell you that I'm one of the best hitting coaches in college softball. And I made that something that a mantra for me when I was going through some things about 5, 6 years ago. And so I really do believe in studying the game and helping athletes really reach their potential as hitters. But I kind of want to start today with this concept, this reason why I came up with like wanting to do these lives. And so I'm in a mastermind for my business. So I'm in a mastermind with other mental performance coaches. None of them which look like me, which is completely fine. But I'm in this space with folks who are doing amazing, amazing work. And we have a leader who's awesome. And I think she's really given us a blueprint for how to be successful within this space. And I've always kind of had this sort of affinity to be more than a mental performance coach. Just for me, I believe that the heart has to happen before the mind happens. And I think the way you connect to the mind is through the heart. And so I've been one who's really been interested in developing the complete person. But anyway, in this group, um, there are certain ways I think it's been the best explanation of how to run a business. So I've been really grateful for that experience. But I also think it's put me in a space where I've kind of spiraled into assuming that I have to do my business a certain way. I have to follow these certain rules. And I think the reality of the situation is it was more so holding me back or making me seem as though I was somebody that I wasn't. I truly believe in being authentic and being myself in all aspects of um, being a person that coaches female athletes and helps people in their development in life. And so, not saying that those folks are not doing that, but I just really believe, and I have this hunch in my own mind that um, parents, you guys don't need convincing that your athletes um, are struggling from practice to games. You don't need convincing that your athletes are struggling when it comes to getting recruited. I don't feel like you need convincing that your athlete is more quiet and shy, and that could be one of the reasons why they're not standing out to college coaches. I don't believe I need to point that out to you every time I try to work with you or your athlete. And if that is the case, this probably isn't the space for you because I no longer want to feel as though I have to convince you of something that I know you already know. And I think the reality is at some point you have to realize that we're doing our athletes a disservice by continuing to assume that they're going to figure it out or that they're going to find a way to work through it. And some of them do, but I tell you that it will come back up at a later date. So I just really want to be conscious with that. And so for me, um, where I'm going with this is that I always, as a personal overthinker and perfectionist, I've always been a person that's like, I have to do things the right way. And that goes back to some of the things that I've been dealing with in my life. But I've always felt like I had to do things the right way. I feel like I had to always go above and beyond because I always felt like I had like these three strikes against me. I was black, I was woman, and I was a gay. And I always felt like no one would take me serious, that no one would give me a chance, that I wouldn't have a seat at the table. And so I've kind of lived my life trying to be more of an overachiever. And I think what's really important in this conversation is that regardless of if that's true or not, it was true to me. And I think when you talk about your specific athletes, your daughters, I think you have to realize that they all have a thing, if not one, they have multiple things that they're consciously saying or subconsciously saying in their heads that are leading them to make decisions or not make decisions based on the fact they have this thing. And so for me, I think like being real with you guys is really important, and I think I really want you to know like what I've moved away from my limiting beliefs of like I have to be perfect in order for people to follow me. My new belief is I'm gonna let my light shine through these lives. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna be present whether there's one person or 50 people or 100 people. I'm gonna show up and be present. I'm gonna let my light shine, and the right people that are meant for me will show up. And so hopefully, if you're in the space, which I created, the 360 athlete, that you at least have some affinity to me or at least want to know more about what I offer. And so thank you for joining and being a part of this space. And if you know you joined it because you just weren't sure and you thought you were going to get something out of this that maybe I haven't been able to provide, that's okay too. But I will be going live. I'll answer questions. I'll do it everything. I'm going to go and review emails that I get as a coach. I'm going to review videos that I see on Twitter that I think are really great to kind of help you guys in that aspect. But I'm also going to talk a little bit about the human behavior and the human aspect of the person, because to me, I believe that you know we can't move any further in life with, like I said, not working with the heart and the mind as well. So I created this group to develop the 360 athlete. And the 360 athlete to me is someone who is a human first, who's a student second, and who is a competitor third. And I believe that it has to happen in that order in order for you to build a complete, confident athlete. And so, why is this important to me, and why do I want to do this? To me, sports for a very long time was the thing that showed me value, that things that showed me worth, the things that made me believe that I was meant to do and be something in this world up until around the time where it was time to start getting recruited. I think I had my own family struggles that I was dealing with, but I think once I started the recruiting process and I started to sort of feel like it was more pressure, more anxiousness, more stress in the process of trying to make myself noticed as a perfectionist, an overthinker, someone who likes to stay in the background because of my own insecurities around being black, woman, and a gay, right? So, again, the things. And so I think like what I really care to do here is speak specifically to parents who have athletes who are those more quiet, shy, overthinker, perfectionist athletes, because I know what they're going through and I know what it's going to take. And my job is to help them get their light to shine. So we're already about 8 minutes in, so I'm going to jump right into what I want to talk about today. And so I was hoping people would be on, which is okay if I'm missing something or I'm not figuring out how to interact with people, which was completely fine. But I want to lead. I want to kind of talk about this concept of human behavior. And when you join this group, you got to ask three questions, right? Where'd you hear about this group? Or your parent, coach, or both. And then the other one was, do you want access to my free guide? And so, really, I'm adjusting the name of it. It's called the Recruiting Fit Guide or Recruiting Fit Parent Guide, but it's also called the Competitor's Edge. And that guide is something that is a introduction to something that I do, and I when I work with all athletes and all coaches and all teams to start to understand how do we communicate effectively, how do we handle conflict, how do we show up in our confidence, say how do we become more confident knowing who we are, what we bring to the table. So the competitor's edge or the recruiting fit guide speaks about this concept that there are four different types of athletes or competitors, and those four different types of athletes or competitors are doers, influencers or energizers, stabilizers, and improvers. And what's important about this understanding of these folks is that people are different, but they are predictably different. And why I've been so successful with helping athletes reach their potential and playing at the next level: University of Washington, University of Pacific, Cal Poly, Humboldt, Boise State, right? To name a few, Nevada, is because I've been able to first unlock the fact that they are that they can live in their strengths. And so when we get to know our athletes as individual people, what's important to realize is that they all have three things: strengths, blind spots, and primary emotions. And our ability to understand their strengths and their blind spots, as well as how they respond in conflict or stress or pressure situations, really helps us navigate how we best guide and influence them. So, that's why I really wanted you to know and I have an idea of what your daughter what kind of characteristics or traits your daughter has and which environments works best for them, because only then can we start to determine which fits do we go after as far as schools. The second part that I want you to be aware of, I want to know if there is a way. I'm going to see if I can share screen. I don't think I can on here. Okay, we're gonna work out some things where eventually I can maybe share screen. But what I want us to focus on real fast is um, that basically this concept of why is it important to know sort of which area our athletes fall into. I'm gonna see if I could share this graphic with you. So give me just 1 second. Because it's going to be helpful to how to explain this concept. All right, so let me make this big real fast. And let me, oops, please delete that. All right. 1 second, y'all. Just give me a second. I just want to make sure you could get this. Capture, please. All right. I think I'm going to have to do Zoom next time so that way I could really share with you what I need to share with you. Stickers, avatars. Shoot, I don't even think I could share a graphic. Let's try it. No. All right. What I'll do is I'll post a graphic to the comments after this. But here's what I want you to realize with our athletes: four different types of athletes. You're going to see sort of a graph or a diagram that kind of has four quadrants, and the doer is up top, the influencer or energizer at the other side of that's up top. Then you also have the stabilizer at the bottom, and then you have the improver at the bottom as well. Now, if you look at this sort of diagram, I'm getting some. It's crazy because I'm getting comments and everything, but I don't. I gotta figure out how to work this thing. Okay, so we're gonna work next time. We're gonna have a better. We're gonna have a better plan of this process for you guys. But when we talk about the four different types of people, at the top, we call those athletes the active athletes. So the doer and the energizer are more active. We have the influencer, energizer, and the stabilizer. They're going to be more people relationship focused. Then at the bottom, you have the stabilizer and the improver. They're more of the more reflective people. We used to call them passive, but now they're reflective. And then the other side of the diagram, we have the doer and the improver, and they're more of our task-oriented athletes. And what's important for you to know in this process is that the doer before COVID was about 3% of the population. The influencer was about 11% of the population. The stabilizer was about 69% of the population. And the improver was about, I think, 17% of the population. So as times have changed after COVID, people are being more entrepreneur based, NIL, more focused on self. These numbers have shifted. So the doer is now more of like 9%. The stabilizer, or sorry, the influencer energizer is more along the lines of 28%. The stabilizer is definitely more 32%, and the improver is at about 31%. And so, what this means in the grand scheme of things is that the top two populations, the active, more out front people, the ones willing to put themselves out there, want to stand out, is less than 40% of the population, if that, or at 40% of the population. And then if you look at the more task driven individuals, they're at about, again, another 40% of the population. But when you get to the other side of this graph, you have the relationships focused athletes who are about, I think, 60% of the population. But the majority of the population that we have is about 64%, and that is the reflective people. So your athlete who's more quiet, want to be perfect, over analyzing, the overthinker, it's kind of a natural state of mind for a lot of people. And so they're not alone. And I think where coaches struggle to connect with their athletes and their players is that our generation has been one where it's like, do as I say, not as I do, or, work hard, work hard, grind hard, and then you'll get noticed. But really, like, our athletes now are so in their head, so cerebral, that we have to tap into, again, the heart and the mind. They believe in relationships, and they believe in making conscious decisions, right? And so why your athlete gets stuck sometimes, or why they struggle to take action, is because they struggle with those two things. I got to think about it first, and then I have to trust first. And when we don't have those two things in place, it's really hard to do other things. And so having a guide or a mentor who actually knows what they're doing, has steps to take them through this process, is the only way they're going to be able to start to trust themselves even enough to take action, because that person can be able to unlock some of more of their confidence in who they are. So, like, I want to kind of just like stop there today. I will put that graphic in the guide. It's a graphic that I put together, but I think it's going to be really helpful for you as parents. So when it comes to your ability to help them in the recruiting process and guiding them through the process, and helping them be more confident on the field, overcoming their obstacles and struggles, the biggest thing I would recommend or suggest to you is to, I think, remove the thing that gets in the way of the friction of their relationship with you as a parent. I think that's number one. I would say the other thing is, because there's so much of thinkers, finding someone that's a credible resource is really important. I think one of my athletes that we're recruiting here at Hampton, um, she just got signed, and we loved her, and I couldn't believe she was still on the table. And what I realized was that they were putting a lot of trust in the travel ball coach to speak for them, to have conversations for them, to get them on the journey. And although that sometimes is really helpful and that really works, I think if you're not asking the questions and getting clarity, as a, especially a player that's an overthinker, I think that's where the where it fell short. And so it worked out for us, thankfully. But I think there's a lot of athletes out there that are putting a lot of trust without asking questions and getting clear confirmation of information being delivered and received. And so, if I can give you another advice besides separating your relationship as a parent, and allowing someone else to come in to kind of help coach and guide that athlete, I would say also find the credible resources, but make sure you're staying in tune with what's going on. Like, definitely keep checking that process so your athletes can feel more comfortable with knowing something is happening. The stress and the anxiousness and the anxiety is happening because they're unsure of what's is being done in the background, right? Um, so that's kind of what I got for you guys today. I really wish I could figure out how to get to these comments, because I think there's a couple in here. I found that. Happy Tuesday. Speaking to my soul coach. All right, sounds like my child. Absolutely, Stevie. Oh, can I put the question? Nope, I still can't put the guide in here. Okay, don't worry. I'm gonna make sure that I get this into you guys. But I just want to keep providing this for you as a resource. And again, I would love to be more interactive in this process. Like I said, like, I don't want to convince you that mental performance training is great, that human connection is important, that having a coach is important to their ability to be their best athletes. I don't think that's necessary. I'd rather just be real and upfront, give you guys advice, help you with what you need help with. You want to ask me about emails, you want to ask me about video, you want to ask me about camps, coaching struggles, coaching problems. My coach doesn't believe in me. I don't think they trust what I'm doing, their performance, like whatever. I want to be that resource for y'all. Um, and I think on this page is where we can do it. I would say pretty much for free. But if their athlete eventually needs more support, there's all the other options that I have. And if that ever comes to be the case, let me know, and I'm happy to connect with you about that specifically. But I think for right now, I think that's where I'm going to end today. So thanks for being a part of the group. Again, every Monday I'll kind of ask a question. Hey, what questions do you have for me to go over on Tuesday? If you don't have any questions, I'm going to come up with something. We'll spend about 15, 20 minutes on here, and I'll let you guys go. All right. But I really, truly appreciate you all and your time. And I hope that this is valuable to you. All right. You guys have an awesome day. Peace.